Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Well, happy Monday evening, everyone. This is me, Scotty Roberts. I'm hidden by my own banners. There I am. Let's take the main banner down. Welcome to the program. This is the Intrepid radio program right here on my YouTube channel. It's really not a radio program right now. We're still a podcast. We may always be a podcast from this moment forward, but we'll see. We've got some big things in the works that I might hint at a little bit tonight. But welcome to the show. Let me get my proscenium arch up. There it is. Boom. That's us. And whatever you are doing, whatever your day has been, it's now 10 p.m. out east, 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. left coast time, and everywhere else around the world where you join in from England and Germany and France all the way over to Japan. And we have listeners in Australia and New Zealand where it's live, but it's already tomorrow. So welcome to everybody. Whatever your day has been, I hope you are going to enjoy tonight's show, that you can kick back and listen and participate if you want. If you want to join the best version of the chat room for this show, come right on over to my YouTube channel and sign into this show, and you can come into the chat room. And already we have some people gathering up over there, and we got Scott Allen. Good to see you, brother. Nice to have you here. Unleashed Jeremy Hansen. Good to see you, brother. We had a good conversation today. I appreciate that still. Good times. And Jeremy, I want you to post a link in the chat room where people can go hear your podcasts. Jeremy has had a few different incarnations of his show. He's got a pretty sweet operation going right now and messaging that he is doing. So go over and take a listen. He'll post a link for you. Kalina, welcome to the program. Good to have you here. Roger Rabbit, good to have you here tonight. Glad that you're all coming in. And those of you who are not in the chat room, I see a whole bunch of you outside of the chat room. You can come on in over here if you want, and you can join the conversation. Tonight's topic, oh, and by the way, welcome over in Instagram as well. I saw Robert LaRocca over there. It's good to have you here. I think that's how you pronounce it. Is that a small case L or is it a capital I? It's LaRocca, I think. LaRocca. And welcome over there in the Instagram chat room. And so the title for tonight's show, Daring Do. You've heard that. He has no daring do. Or, that took a lot of daring do to do that. Well, what the hell does that mean? What is daring do? What do you think it is? Have you heard that term before? And I've got a pretty strict is probably the bad word, an interesting definition of what daring do is. It's a noun. It's a thing. It's a person, place, or thing. So it's a thing. Daring do. It's a noun that means daring or brave action that requires courage, often without regard for the dangers that might come along with it hand in hand. Some examples would be like, it's a spectacular feat of daring do. The stuntman leaped from the overpass and landed on top of the train as it passed below. So, daring, brave action that requires courage. There are two of the most celebrated climbers in the world struggling to find the right words to describe an astonishing act of human daring do. So those are the kinds of things. The term originated in the late 16th century from the late Middle English phrase doring do, D-O-R-R-Y-N-G, do, D-O, which literally means daring to do. You know, that's how Middle English sounded and was spelled. Daring do, daring to do. And it was popularized by none other than Sir Walter Scott. And so there's a lot of examples. You can look up different things about what it means, how it's used. It's brave action that's taken without considering the danger that's involved, deeds, feats of daring do, and so on. And it's action displaying heroic courage. The term comes from the late 16th century, from that Middle English. And daring to do. So it's daring to do the things that we wouldn't normally do, or that people don't normally do. That's the idea with it. And so why a title like that for tonight? And if you didn't see tonight's graphic, there's part of it right there. Daring do. Setting sail. Setting out to do something that you might not normally do. Having the courage to do it. Once again, for the 1000th time, my favorite quote, and favorite is a trite way to put it. It's become my moniker in life, that Mark Twain quote. 20 years from now, you'll regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So cast off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, set your sails to the trade winds, explore, dream, discover. So this is what daring do is. It's setting out and it's doing something that you might not normally do. Daring do involves the bravery or the setting out where, normally you wouldn't do something like this, but you've set your mind to do it because it is dangerous, or it is challenging, or it is something that you need to set about to prove something to yourself. So there's all different kinds of versions of what daring do can be and what it can mean to you. But the place I wanted to bring this up, and Jeremy and I were talking about this a bit today, and I had some other conversations today that really put me onto this topic. And by the way, I will give you this one hint. I am going to set about making some major changes. We're going to do a huge rebrand of this show. And I will announce that as it comes close. We're nowhere near it yet. It's coming. We're nearer to it now than we would have been, say, in January of last year. But it's in the next few months, couple of months. Somewhere in there, we're going to set about laying the groundwork for a big change. And I think it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy. And I'll tell you, the reason I even start thinking about a change at all and rebranding is, if you've noticed the last few weeks, last few months, really, there are times where I just don't do the show. I went from 5 days a week plus Sunday to I dropped it to 3 days a week plus Sunday. And hey, Carly Sagan, good to see you. Happy to lend a hand. If you ever need one, you know it. I'll call on you. And that it's coming. Keep your ear to the rail here. And Randall Flagg, good to see you too. I see you slipped in behind the scenes. And so my take on my own show has always been, as with everything else I've engaged in, I do this because I enjoy it. I love it. It sets me on fire. It's the passion in my life, and I do these things for that reason. And I've always said I do it for the fun. I enjoy things. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And it got to the place where I thought, this is not as fun as it used to be. I grew very tired of politics and talking about politics. As much as I'm impassioned by them, I grew weary of them. And it seemed that there were a lot of things going on in life that just led me to a place where on certain days of the week when I was supposed to be doing my show, by the time showtime was coming around, it's usually by 6 p.m. if I haven't planned what I'm doing for tonight, I better come up with something quick or I better bail. And more often than not over the last few weeks, it's been, I'm just not up for doing a show. The fire in my belly was a little gone. I was tired, in general, tired. There were other things going on. And I thought the first thing to go was always this show. And I thought, why is that? Where's my motivation? I talked to Jeremy about that today. Where's my motivation? Where has it left me? Is the fire in the belly no longer there? You know, you can put a nickel in me and I'll talk for 4 hours. But trying to come and formally do it, I thought, is this where I want to be? And I started stepping back a bit, even contemplating just stepping away from it altogether. And until my conversation really with Jeremy and some other thoughts that have been going on, I've really been inspired to make some, I think, very good changes in our approach and to make it more fun for me and to make it more fun and exciting for you. So that's what we're going to do. And that's the topic of tonight's show, really revolves around making a decision like that. So Roger Rabbit says, I don't think it takes a nickel. Just a penny will do. Sometimes just the promise of, I'll give you a penny on Tuesday for a 4-hour lecture today will do it for me. So there you go, Roger. And thank you, Carly Sagan. I appreciate that. And it's not just fluff in the sky. I'm not blowing sunshine up anybody's skirt or kilt, whichever it may be. Two different things, by the way. A skirt is not a kilt. And a kilt is not a skirt. So that's a sidetrack, though. So life is all about adventure. And I would think that talking about adventure can be something that could get, after a while, could be as tiresome as listening to politics, until you realize how much of life fits into adventure. How much of what we do is an adventure. Carly, I look at you with Kinsey and the things you and Roger have had to go through. Life's still an adventure. It's not always a pleasant adventure. So there are things that take us to our extremes, the limits of who we are. Has that killed your love for your child? No. You still have to face the daunting adventure there. Starting businesses, doing the things that you want to do. Hey, Vaughn, good to see you here. Good to see you. Glad you're in here. And everything in life is an adventure. And I grabbed this quote that I want to talk about tonight. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And that's a beautiful quote by Neale Donald Walsch. And Neale Donald Walsch was an American author who wrote in his best-selling series, Conversations with God, that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's a it's a real popular inspirational quote. You see it all the time. It's on posters, motivational memes, wallpapers, mugs, T-shirts, all kinds of countless other things. But I want to explore this quote a little bit tonight and how it applies to us. This quote that says, life begins at the end of your comfort, or life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And have you heard and I've seen this in meme form, there is a little meme that I saw going around. So it's more than that. It's more an infographic. It usually has a picture of like a Chinese gardener. You see him silhouetted and his back is to you and he's in a beautiful garden, mountains in the background and so on. And he's holding a sword. And the end quote to this story that's part of it is, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a warrior. What does that mean? What's the meaning of that quote? What's that all about? This whole thing to being a gardener in a battle. Who said it? What's the origin? We're kind of side trailing to get back to our quote here. The source of the quote is kind of unclear. It's commonly attributed as a Chinese proverb. It's a saying in the Chinese or even Japanese martial arts. They've used it. Sun Tzu. I've got a copy of his book sitting right here. It's my mini copy of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And a fabulous book if you've never read it, for people in business or life in general. Very old book. And Bruce Lee even used it in his martial arts. And it's a Chinese proverb. It's what most people come down to saying it is. And the quote comes from a short story that circulated online for a long time. And it was no doubt adapted to modern times, but even if it's not a direct translation from the source, it's still a thought-provoking parable. And the story goes that a young apprentice was training. He was training in the art of sword fighting under a wise old mentor. And he asked his teacher why he needed to learn the ways of the warrior and prepare for war if he was striving to cultivate inner peace. Because that was all part of the training. If any of you grew up in the era I grew up, any of you remember the old show Kung Fu with David Carradine? It started as a made-for-TV movie, then went into a series about a guy in the Old West that grew up in China. He was they called him a half-breed. You Chinaman, you're a half-breed, because he was part Chinese and part American. And he was orphaned early, and he was given to the Shaolin Temple, which is really kind of that source of Kung Fu. Hey, Elderberry, good to see you. And in that show, they taught them the art of Kung Fu. Self-defense. You could be a warrior with it. You could kill with your bare hands. There was the old blind teacher. Oh, grasshopper, when you can take the pebbles from my hand, you will be ready to leave us. You know, there's all this training he went through. And so the idea that this kid training in sword from the old mentor, he says, why do I need to learn the ways of a warrior and prepare for war if what I'm supposed to be striving for is inner peace, Zen? And would it not be more tranquil and seem serene to be a gardener and tend the plants? The student asked. Tending the garden, the master replied, is a relaxing pastime, but it does not prepare one for the inevitable battles of life. It's easy to be calm in a serene setting. To be calm and serene when under attack is much more difficult. Therefore, I tell you, it is far better to be a warrior tending his garden than a gardener at war. And that's the meaning of that particular quote. So, how does that fit into life begins at the end of your comfort zone? Adventure is typically defined as this unusual, daring, exciting experience, which gives you that adrenaline rush. And if you look closely at the definition, you can see that life is exactly this: unusual. It's daring. It's exciting. It's where the daring do comes in. But when we think of the word adventure, all that comes to our minds is the very positive: the mountain trek, the bungee jumping, the extreme sports, the skydiving, cave spelunking. But we don't stop to notice that our life is itself an adventure. It's an adventure according to me. And it's the situations we face daily in our lives. Not necessarily taking a risk on purpose, because the situations in life are risky enough themselves. No one's life is simple. Everyone has their own adventures. And as I like to say, we've all got our shit. We've all got stuff we have to deal with. Some more than others, some less than others. Some people have no idea what it is to struggle. Other people's have struggles. These are the adventures of life. We don't always see them as adventure when we're in the middle of them, but this is what it is. These are these acts, these times where we have to incorporate our will of daring do, of facing that stuff. Adventure for a child might be his first bicycle ride without training wheels. Adventure for a pilot might be dealing with engine failure on an aircraft. Adventure for a doctor might be saving a critically ill patient when the other doctors have given up. Adventure for an army officer might be saving a civilian's life in the battlefield amongst bullets being fired at him or her. Adventure for an actor might be his or her first thriller movie that they're in. Adventure for a stuntman might be doing the most dangerous stunt he or she's ever performed before. Actor for a trapeze artist might be learning a new trick or going up there without a net. An adventure for a magician might be the most dangerous magic act of all. In short, all the different applications you can think of, myriads. Life is an adventure. Life keeps throwing challenges at us. All of you listening to my voice, look into my digital eyes right now. You know who you are. You know the challenges you've faced. I faced challenges. There's some challenges I wouldn't be able to handle that I know other people are handling and grappling with every day, just outside my bailiwick. Life keeps throwing challenges at us. And when we don't give up on them, that's adventure too. Life starts with adventure of being born. It ends with starting a new adventure that no one knows after death. The major misconception in this world is that life, for some, is not adventurous and boring. The fact is that life doesn't move constantly for some people. It's too boring. It has its ups, it has its downs. Change is the only constant. And when one comes out of the comfort zone, when one changes one's lifestyle for good, then and only then is the time one truly realizes that life is indeed all about adventure. When you step outside of your comfort zone. Life, according to me, is the greatest adventure because No examination, no training camp, not even the best friend can challenge one the way life does. It makes us see the bad days. And when we're struggling to get out of the bad phase, we're in an adventurous place. Sometimes it's an adventure we just want to get out of. But we have to look back and say, it's an adventure. We have to, while we're in it, say, this is the adventure I am in. How am I going to get out of this? How am I going to make this work? Another misconception with the whole word adventure is deliberately taking harmful risks. There's, for instance, consuming drugs, alcoholism. That's not adventurous. It's risking the beautiful adventure called life. When you risk your life unduly with things that could very well, see, you can almost define extreme sports as some of that. But when you're chemically abusing your body, you're tearing it down, that's not adventure. It's risking the beauty of your life. Life is very short. Ask me. Just yesterday, I was 24. Today, I'm 64. Where'd that go? Life is too short. I remember, by the way, anecdotally on that point, when I was a kid in high school, and I mentioned this, I think, one other time in telling a story. When I was a kid in high school, we were, the school we went to was in a big church. It was a church school. And by big, I mean mega church. We were 1,500 members with a huge complex. They had the church. They had the kindergarten through 12th grade school there. They had the seminary was there. The library was there. The radio station was there, all on this big campus inside the city limits of inner city Minneapolis. And so one time we were a bunch of us guys who were at the church and youth activity of some kind, and there's a bunch of old geezers walking around. I mean, old geezers. And they've all got some function going in one of the big party rooms at the church. And well, what's going on? Well, they're having their 50th high school. I was going to say anniversary, not anniversary. High school reunion. 50 years. This happened. We were in 11th or 12th grade, juniors or seniors in high school. I'm like, whoa, 50 years. That is an eternity away. Do you know right now, this year, I am 3 years away from my 50th reunion in high school. I graduated in 1978. There's perspective for you, folks. Youth. Well, what did Solomon say in the Old Testament? He said, life is like the grass that blooms in the morning and withers in the sun at midday, and then it dies. Life is fleeting. It goes by very quickly. So for those of you who are young and listening to my voice, I don't mean to sound negative, but life goes quick. It's even quicker when you're way on the other end and you look back at it. Whoa, that went fast. And so life is very short. Making it shorter by engaging in illicit drugs, alcohol, things like that, things that put your life at risk that way, it's not exciting at all. It's ridiculous. It's silly. Taking one's own life isn't adventurous. It's giving in to the challenges that life throws at you. It's losing out on the adventure. It's cowardice. And you hate to say that because there are some people who take their own life that are deeply sad. They have nothing. They think they have nothing to live for. And yet they will take their own life thinking that that's the easy way out. It's not. Life keeps surprising us. And it's unpredictable. So we always need to be ready to face life. ready to face yet another adventure, because life isn't only all about adventure, life is adventure. And I have to constantly look at myself in the mirror and say, am I prepared for the next adventure? There are days, even recently, where I've sat right here at this desk and thought, I got nothing left to give. That's a repeating theme over the last couple of years in my head. Last 3 or 4 years. Since the heart surgery, the hip surgery, the this surgery, the that surgery, the eyes, all of that. It all starts to add up. And then you get tired because you're getting older. So things don't work quite as well because I'm not in prime condition. There's a challenge for all of you younger people. Stay in good condition, because when you're 65, 64 in my case, you'll wish you had, because it's so much harder now to get that conditioning to work for you. So do it now. Again, Solomon in the Old Testament, what did he say? He says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come. And by evil, he was metaphorically speaking of old age. And everything he says after that, in this kind of very poetic way, he's talking about old age. He talks about how the gatekeepers, the eyes, are fading. And he doesn't say eyes, but he talks about the teeth getting worn. He talks about the knees hurting and the joints aching. So he says, remember, while you're young. And so you have more adventures to face. So let's look at this quote again. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. He said in an interview, this Neale Donald Walsch, the man who coined that phrase in his books, he said, it is when we stretch into that which is uncomfortable that we really, and often for the first time, experience life at its most tingling, igniting, and magnificent level. In other words, when we get out of our comfort zone, we experience the level of stimulation that we can't get when we remain in our safe, familiar worlds. Some of you listening right now, haven't been in that safe, familiar world for a very long time. You're out there fighting that battle every day. Others have never left that cocoon. And I don't say that to anybody's fault. I'm saying they just haven't had that experience yet. Some avoid the experience. The exhilaration you get from paragliding, which I've never done, or scuba diving, which I have done, they're unique. You're unlikely to experience it in your everyday, secure, very predictable world. You can get out a snorkel and a mask and fins and submerge yourself in your bathtub. That's not the same as diving a coral reef and looking out into the endless, vast blue. It just looks like a blue, marine blue backdrop until you see a little tiny speck way out there. What is that? A little speck on my clean computer screen. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it gets closer. And you realize it's a grouper that's 6 feet across. And you're like, holy crap. This vast blueness is endless ocean. There's risk to that, but there's adventure to that. Being in your comfort zone, by definition, is comfortable. But it's also rarely, if ever, exciting. It's comfortable. Meanwhile, leaving it always brings more stimulation to your life. I have one issue with the quote itself, though. Does life really only begin at the end of our comfort zone? What about so many nice things that are well within our comfort zones, such as chatting with a friend, playing with your dog, taking a walk? Some of those things are wonderful, pleasant things. And even though I'm a huge proponent of voluntary discomfort, and there's a definition of that as well, and we're going to cover that later this week. We're going to talk about voluntary discomfort. I would never say, it's almost as if on cue. I got this tattoo almost a month ago now. And as I was saying, voluntary discomfort, and something, I had a little pinprick there in one of the spots. It's still slightly tender. It never really hurt. Just that, I wish I could just gnaw at that with my fingernails and scratch that. It's still in the healing process almost a month later. But that's a small adventure. That's an adventure. It's something. It's an experience. It's an uncomfortable thing that I did, but it's certainly not outside my comfort zone. But let's explore a little bit more about what it means to gain a better understanding of this thought processes behind life begins at the end of your comfort zone. There's maybe a little better version of that quote that you could apply here. Life begins when boredom ends. How about that one? What does that do for you? This is a more accurate thought than the original quote that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Judging the quality of life by the amount of boredom is less extreme of an idea and sounds more like a whole universal truth applicable to everybody. If you hear that, that's my phone ringing in the other room. Sorry. I thought by leaving it in the other room, even if it rang, it wouldn't bother us. Hello? So there's a lot of joy to be had within your comfort zone. Comfort zones are great places to be. Nothing wrong with them. It's where we're comfortable. You don't have to leave it to begin your life. And yes, I'm saying it as a guy. And I'm a guy that has gone on adventures, that enjoys adventures. Some of my friends are 10 times more the adventurers than I am. But one can feel 100% alive having dinner with his family, even if it's within his comfort zone. I do. You know, my family has started to get to that place where, and I hate saying this and admitting it, where we don't do family dinners as much anymore. We don't hardly have any meals together because everybody's running in 10 different directions. And so last night, we had dinner together. No, 2 nights ago, I'm sorry. And we had the kids clear the table and put plates down and forks and knives and glasses, and Rainey made some amazing tacos. It was just tacos, but the great spread, the big flatbread tacos, or tortilla tacos, you roll them up and you got all the fixings that she's made and you put it in there. And we had tacos together and we all sat around the table and talked. It sounds so Norman Rockwellish cliche, but it's true. That is what we did. So within my comfort zone, my family eating, sitting around the table, we had music playing in the background, and we're all sitting around, we're laughing and having a good time together. That was amazing. So you can have dinner with your family and be within your comfort zone. That's an amazing thing. So the real problem starts when my daughter walks in. Hi, how you doing? Say hi to everybody. That's Ellery. What you doing? Going to bed? I know, I picked you up.
Yeah.
So
it was Christmas Eve.
She had cheerleader practice tonight.
And the theme was Christmas, and I wore this shirt and these red Nike Pros.
Oh, red Nike shorts? Oh, that's not underwear?
No, they're shorts.
Showing you her underwear on camera.
They're shorts.
Okay, they're camera. They're shorts, I mean. All right. Well, I'm going to go on and keep talking to everybody. So you give me a hug and a kiss and a and I'm going to keep talking. Okay? I love you. Good night. If you're still awake, I'll see you when I'm done. I doubt you will be. So, there we go. All right. That wasn't what it sounded like. That was the leather seat of my chair going. That wasn't me. So where was I? So, I've got some notes here, believe it or not. I'm just looking for where I left off. The real problem is when our lives lack any kind of stimulation or challenge. So rather than life beginning at the end of your comfort zone, life begins when you have a healthy balance between comfort and discomfort. And to further clarify that, I would say comfort, I mean enjoyable, safe activities like family dinners. Having my kid come and interrupt me while I'm doing radio. This is all my comfort zone. This studio is my comfort zone. It's my comfort place. I'm surrounded by my stuff. It's the stuff I like. This is, I've done it before. I spin my computer around the camera, and you can see I can't go 180 with it. But this is my comfortable place. This is my place where all my stuff is and all the things that I do. There's Rainey and me. So you know this place. This is my comfort place. But if all I did was stay in this place, I would be in my comfort zone and I would never get out of my comfort zone, and I'd never get into living doing something outside of my comfort zone. So things like hard workouts. How many of you have done any hard workouts lately? I haven't. I've done light workouts because I stay within my comfort zone. Oh, if I go 2 miles, it's going to hurt. Kind of thing. That's the way I tend to get. Or if you're afraid of public speaking or pursuing something hard, seemingly impossible goals. You got to find that healthy balance between these, and your life will surely begin. That's when all of this starts. I'm going to make a statement here that I want you to think about for a second. Resist change, and you'll never be above average. Prove me wrong. No, I got to take a drink. Hold on. Risk. Risk is our business, Captain Kirk. Let me say that again. Resist change, and you will never be above average. I don't know what I just did there. I hit something I wasn't supposed to hit. We've talked about this kind of happiness that we can have in our comfort zones and so on. But there's another aspect to this quote that we haven't addressed yet. So I want you to dig into this a little bit mentally and wrap your head around this to get an even deeper understanding. In this same interview with Walsch, the author who coined the quote, he emphasizes how important it is to venture outside your comfort zone to become exceptional. Let me ask you, is there anything wrong with being exceptional? No. There's nothing wrong with being exceptional. Now, this author, Walsch, he said, it doesn't take long for the average person to realize that for the average person to rise above the average, a willingness to be a little scared or a little nervous or at least a little unsure is going to be required. So our comfort zones define our level of success, and it's our level of performance many times. If you're interested in making the most out of your short time on this earth and you want to accomplish some big things, you need to recognize the danger of being too comfortable. I'd go as far to say that rejecting security and embracing fear and discomfort is probably the first step towards self-improvement on whatever thing you need to self-improve on. If you don't face your insecurities and anxieties head on, there's little hope of changing them ever. You need to push past your limitations to grow, and that requires leaving your comfort zone. When you step out of your comfort zone, you redefine your limits, and you come back with new insights, new abilities. This is how, over time, you become exceptional and you rise above. And if your only goal is to feel safe and comfortable, well, frankly, as it is for almost everyone, unfortunately, you're unlikely to rise above the average. But then again, you might say average is all I ever want to be. Well, maybe then you're safe within your comfort zone. What I'm talking about tonight, and this whole pushing your comfort zone, life ends where begins where your comfort zone ends, is for the people who want to strive and get beyond just being in the comfort zone. And here's what you're going to realize when you leave your comfort zone. When you embrace change and when we push our limits, we enter a different world altogether. It provides new opportunities for growth, but at the same time, more challenges that may test your willpower to stick to it. It provides a more excitement to life, but also more risk that may introduce more stress to some people. Example, let's say you're afraid of water. And there's nothing weird about that at all. I don't like water that I swim in if I can't see the bottom. Now, that seems antithetical to scuba diving, but that was different. You're like swimming in watery glass when you're scuba diving, as you can see everything. I don't like swimming in lakes because lakes are murky. If I start swimming in a lake and something brushes my foot, I break into a cold sweat and I got to get out. I don't like it. So let's say you're afraid of water. Maybe you've already spent decades staying away from any bodies of water. You can continue spending the rest of your life avoiding water if you want to. But you'll be missing out a lot. You're missing the experience of swimming, diving, surfing, sailing, having carefree fun in the water, much more. Will the process of facing your fear of water cause distress? Sure. But over time, your fear lessens, and it'll provide more options in life. You'll be capable of learning and enjoying water sports, for one. Be able to swim if you fall in the water, for two. You'll no longer feel anxious around water. Eventually, you'll feel free. Now, simple example. Not a perfect example, but a simple one. But this is how we become free of fear, free of limitations, free to experience more, free to learn new things. I could write books on the things that I've done and the mental shifts I've experienced through addressing my fears and exploring the edges of my comfort zone. But the only way anybody's ever going to learn to do that is to just do it. Leaving the familiar, leaving the safe surroundings, casting off from the safe harbor. You just have to do it. I used to be deathly afraid of the dark when I was a kid. I mean, I was afraid of the dark, about as afraid as you could be. lights on, TV on. That was back in the day where there wasn't 24-hour cable. Had a little 13-inch black and white Zenith TV on the dresser top, and I was on the top bunk. And I'd keep that TV on all night and the lights on all night. And finally, I thought the only way I'm going to be able to overcome my fear of the dark is to embrace myself in the dark. So I did. I started turning off all the lights in the TV. I'd throw off all the blankets, and I'd lay there in the dark when I went to bed, just staring into the dark. Say, come on, dark. Here it is. And I overcame my fear of the dark. Now, I don't have fear of the dark anymore. I may have fear of things I bump into in the dark. And that's not really a fear. It's anxiety a little bit, I guess. I don't want to run into something and jab my eye out in the dark kind of thing. So, you know what I mean? So expanding your comfort zone leads to this more rewarding life. Sarah's suggesting that maybe being exceptional can be a lonely place too. Sure, it can be. It all depends on what you do with what you've got. And if you resist change, you're going to be left behind, Sarah says. And I agree with that, Sarah. Hey, thank you, Scott Allen. Scott Allen, as you can all see, dropped $5 in the bucket. Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me. And anybody else, you can follow Scott's example. I'm just saying. I'm not passing the offering plate, but it's there. Thank you, brother. I didn't expect that, and I appreciate it. So, expanding your comfort zone leads to a much more rewarding life. You can stay inside your comfort zone. You can be very happy the rest of your life there. But expanding it leads to more rewarding life. Every man, every woman can benefit from expanding their comfort zone. Pushing your limits lets you access hidden reserves of potential. It makes you realize just how much more you're capable of. Imagine yourself as a guy or a girl, woman. How do you say that anymore? Man, woman, boy, girl, guy, gal. Let's say man or woman. Imagine yourself being a guy who has only a fraction of the insecurities that you now have. Imagine yourself as a guy who isn't afraid of doing hard, uncomfortable things. Imagine yourself as a man or a woman of value who constantly gets tougher through imposed challenges. And by tougher, I don't mean, I'm going to take you out in the third round. I'm not talking about tough that way. I'm talking about you toughen up to the things of life. How different would your life be if you could do that? Would it be paradoxically easy or easier? Would you do things you've never imagined you could do? Would things that are currently out of your reach be completely normal and comfortable if you were able to do that? Would you be better equipped to deal with setbacks? Would you have more enriching experience? That's something worth asking yourself. And so the key here to personal growth, extreme personal growth, get this is going to be the final big point for tonight, the path of most resistance. Not the path of least resistance, the path of most resistance. Now, any of you who has done any kind of weight lifting, body work, which I don't do right now, sadly, as my physique belies, I'm woefully out of shape. But when I did lift, what was the thing? Negative resistance. Resistance was the thing that helped build muscle. So, the path of most resistance. This is the key to extreme personal growth. By default, people pick the easy way out, the path of least resistance. Yet it's the hard choice, the path of most resistance. That's more beneficial, and it provides most success in the long run. But how do these paths really differ? What are the dangers of an easy life? What are the rewards of a hard life? How do you start taking the path of most resistance? What does it mean? What does it mean to take the path of least resistance? We hear that a lot. Oh, I'll just take the path of least resistance. But taking the path of least resistance means choosing the easiest option that is available, with little regard for its long-term consequences. For example, you eat whatever you like. I love pastries. I love pastries more than I love pastries. I like jelly-filled donuts, and I like apple fritters, the gooey ones, the gooey apple bits in them. I'm not big on chocolate anymore, and I like some cake donut products, but I'm a big pastry fan. But if I eat whatever I like, if I eat all the pastries I want, whenever I like, and whatever amount I like, this is combined with avoiding physical activity. Instead of exercising, I think I'll have that box of jelly donuts. It's too exhausting. It's too uncomfortable to do the working out. I could sit down here and watch my favorite TV show and eat my favorite pastry, which I'm not making that up. I've done that. I know of what I speak. Now, it might feel nice at first, but all that indulgence has a very steep price. And in that case, it's guaranteed obesity, diabetes, complications with diabetes. Most people in the modern world follow this path, the least resistance one. And this is why so many people struggle with a lack of self-discipline and good habits, etc., because of the path of least resistance to things. There are some dangers on this easy path as well. The easy path comes with all kinds of countless dangers. Here's some of the most important ones I want you to think about and take with you tonight. The easy path, in the long run, being comfortable all the time, leads to countless problems. They include obesity, lack of fulfillment, lack of stimulation. When you're in the comfort zone all the time, you don't grow much, meaning your life never really gets better unless due to external circumstances you don't control. You're not well equipped to deal with hardships and unforeseen adversity. If they happen, you don't know how to react without freaking out. I've known people in my life that are more sheltered, or they like that. They are afraid of getting out of their comfort zone. And when crisis occurs, they're completely lost. Every situation has its specific details. I get that. But because you don't know how to deal with stress and difficulties, even though you're comfortable now, you may worry that you won't be able to survive a future crisis, like a job loss, loss of a partner, divorce. You develop lazy thinking habits that make your life progressively worse in all aspects. You do anything that's nice today. To hell with the long-term consequences. Gluttony? Why not? Lying? Why not? Sloth? Why not? Envy? Why not? No, we could go down the whole list of 7 deadly sins. But what does it mean to take the path of most resistance? Oh, Randall, you just caught my eye. Little chocolate donuts, breakfast of champions. Yeah, baby. Professor Bauer says you are a bump in the dark. Yeah, pretty much. Think Simply says you merely adopted the dark. It was I was born in it. There you go. What's the book I have? The Dark. We read that, the kids' book I read to my children. Hey, Dark. Dark is all around you. So the path of most resistance is about choosing the option that's going to lead you to more personal growth, even if it means suffering in the early stages of the process. For example, it might cost you a lot to quit watching TV for 8 hours a day. I can't believe the amount of TV I watched when I was a kid. Sometimes, rather than going out and playing in the sunshine, I sat in the basement and watched TV. Basement where our bedrooms were. Finished basement, partially. So, but over the long term, if you quit watching as much TV, you freed up a lot of time. And it leads to a more satisfying life than that couch potato life. And at first sight, this approach is unappealing to some people. It requires effort. It requires loss of pleasure. It leads to potential suffering. Yet the other side of all that lies a world of more confidence, more self-discipline, mental resilience, and in the end, they more than make up for the fleeting superficial pleasures. I got to tell you, when I was working out faithfully, before I used every excuse in the book plus old age to say I don't work out like I used to, let's go back to the time I met Rainey 20 years ago. And I've mentioned this before when we've talked about this kind of thing. I was biking 12 miles a day, and I was eating very good. I dropped pastries out of my life. Every now and then I had one, but then I felt like I had to go bike 12 miles afterwards. And I wasn't a fanatic. I just did it. And I said, if I don't do this, the option is I was 10 pounds heavier than I am now when I started the biking. And I ended up almost 60 pounds less than I am now. Right now, I am 265 pounds as of this morning. Now, maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't. A month ago, I was 275 pounds. So I'm down 10 pounds because I want to be. I need to lose, in my book, 60 more pounds. If you imagine me 60 pounds lighter than I am now, maybe you can imagine that. It's real easy. If I knock off 60 pounds, I would be, now maybe this weight seems unconscionable to some of you skinny little people. 205 to 210 is my welterweight, my skinny wrestling weight, you know. And if I was 205 pounds right now, I'd be a god among men. They would change my name to Adonis. But this is all I'm saying. I'm making a little bit of fun of that, but these are the things you can overcome and put your energy into doing something better. There's countless advantages to choosing the path of most resistance. Was it always fun getting up and biking 12 miles a day? No. I did it anyway. I was so happy I did. You'll learn how to deal with obstacles, with setbacks, with defeat, with disappointment, and more. You become a stronger person who's more prepared to deal with whatever life throws at you. You form empowering habits that help you prioritize personal development over convenience. When making this choice repeatedly, you can't help but experience extreme growth because you expose yourself to challenges. You do cool, memorable things. I know when I'm fat and out of shape and lethargic, the last thing I want to do is go camping in the woods. Oh my God. Is there a lodge where we can eat? Do I have to hike to get there? And of course, I'm focusing on physical things because that's an easy way to illustrate the point I'm talking about. Climbing a mountain, surfing, becoming a firefighter, learning a foreign language, studying philosophy. Name your list. Becoming a public speaker. is definitely more interesting than eating chips while binge watching reruns of Baba Black Sheep on the Nostalgia Channel. That's the sad thing about that's the Nostalgia Channel now. Because you don't shirk your responsibilities. You develop self-discipline, a strong work ethic. Every single goal you have will benefit from cultivating these qualities. You become more persistent, more patient, and that makes you more likely to achieve your goals. You become a natural leader because people are attracted to those who don't become afraid to pick a harder but ultimately more rewarding route. Excuse me. Still getting over last week's chest cold. The whole family had it, by the way. So there's 5 quick examples I want to give you that compares these two paths. This taking the path of least resistance versus taking the path of most resistance. 5 examples. Taking care of your diet. When you grocery shop, taking the path of least resistance as you grab the first item that appeals to you. Those opting for the path of the most resistance, study the ingredients and pick the healthiest option. That sometimes describes my wife and I. I'm like, oh, I want some of this. And she'll go and she'll read the package and she'll say, oh, that's just diabetes factory. Come on. Don't pay attention to me. Let me do it. But the difference grows larger when we zoom out from that stuff. The former person indulges in whatever they want, consistently gaining weight, getting more and more out of shape, losing discipline. Meanwhile, the latter person who takes care of their health will stay in great shape. There's that. How about dating? How many of us are dating? Now, not all of us are married, but not all of us are dating either. That's kind of funny. That's one of those things. You don't have to be married to date. You don't have to be dating to be married. You can be dating in a dating phase and not married and date. You can still be you can be married and date your spouse. But dating, a lazy person might resort to pornography. Now, I'm talking, blatant examples here. Pornography. Deciding between which videos to watch for a fleeting, unsatisfying release. The man or the woman that takes the hard path focuses on improving themselves. That process gives him the tools to become an interesting man, naturally attracting women. A field guy. Of course I walk into, he says. Welcome to the show, field guy. No offense. How about friendships? Those taking the path of least resistance keep the same friends around, even if they have a clear negative impact on their lives. Those prioritizing personal growth over convenience are always going to opt for quality friendships, even if that means temporarily being without friends. I've always said, and I taught when I was a youth pastor in the olden days, and I would talk to kids about you are the company you keep. So look at who it is that you're rubbing shoulders with, who you're spending time with. I think that's very important. If you prioritize your personal growth over convenience, you're always going to opt for quality friends. Look for friends. Surround yourself, and I'm going to say this as admonition is not the word, not an encouragement, just a challenge to you that if you're going to have friends, surround yourself with people who build you up, not people who take you down. How about working out? We already talked about that a little bit by way of example, but man, taking the comfortable path might not work out at all. And He might start coughing because he's been doing something healthy. And a man taking the hard way works out through discomfort. Consistently pushes himself beyond his limits like it's his most important job. Because it is. Without health, we have nothing. That's something I'm facing right now. As I'm working out, I have to face the stuff that's painful, physically painful. And I'm not an invalid by any means, never have been. I'm just so out of shape, and I've got old wounds that have resurfaced because I'm getting older. Because I didn't keep in shape for the last 20 years, it's harder to get back into shape. I'm a perfect walking example of all of this stuff. How about your self-confidence? People that take the path of least resistance struggle with insecurities, and they accept them as part of their personality. Men taking the path of the most resistance, women taking the path of most resistance. Address their weaknesses instead of identifying with them. Do you want to identify with the thing that you know is your weakness, or do you want to identify with the thing that is going to take you away from that? You recognize that confidence is something everyone can build. I'm sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. Don't people naturally take the path of least resistance? We're lazy by nature. If we can do something more easily and more comfortably, we'll always choose that path over the one that's harder by nature. This proclivity is an extremely powerful force, even when scientific research makes it clear that it's bad for us. Some may point out that it's because of this tendency that we now enjoy so many wonders of technology that people in the past would kill to have. We can be wonderfully creative when thinking of ideas to make our lives easier. No animals can match us in this ability, and that's what makes us stand out in the animal kingdom. But ask the same individuals praising laziness if they would be happy living a life where everything is given to them in the moment they think about it. Sometimes they might go, that'd be kind of cool for a while. For a while. There would be zero hardships, nothing difficult to face, no objective in life, no obstacle to overcome. You could spend your entire life in bed, playing video games or watching TV. Whatever you'd want, it would happen right away. I'm sorry, but that reminds me of an old bit by Eddie Murphy on the original Saturday Night Live, way back. Well, we're talking in the 80s. His character, Velvet Jones. Eddie Murphy playing Velvet Jones. And he was a pimp in the early 1980s in this bit. And the line comes to mind. He says, I've written a new book. It's called How to Be a Hoe. And he says, ladies, would you like to make $1,500 extra every week and never leave the comforts of your own bed? That's what that just reminded me of. Sorry, but I make no apologies. But you could spend your entire life in bed, eating bonbons, playing video games, watching TV, whatever you want. I could think of no more boring existence for me personally. Maybe this is a personality thing, other than spending all my extra time with my face in a video game, shooting somebody or sword fighting or whatever you do. It's not that I don't like games. So I just don't have time to play them. I got other things to do. There you go, Jeremy Hansen. We have to be the main character in our own story. We're not side characters. Oh, hey, hi, my life. What you doing? Hi, good to see you today. We got to be our own main characters. That's an excellent thought, Jeremy. So is there a path of medium resistance, do you think? Not the extreme in either way. I don't want the path of least resistance, but I don't want the path of most resistance either. But if there's a path of most and least resistance, then there should be a path of medium or middle resistance, right? Well, the way I see it, the hard path is in reality a medium path. The point isn't to always make your life so hard that you can barely function. It would be silly to take the longest commute, perform the least efficient exercises, or stop using technology. If you were such a radical person, you'd follow a true path of most resistance. But that's not what we're talking about. Instead, we're talking about choosing the hard way when doing so provides bigger benefits later on. Constantly pushing your body physically makes it stronger. Winning the battle with your alarm clock and getting up early gives you more control over your day. Ever think of that one? I don't like sleeping into the last minute. I don't like being late to places. I like to get up, enjoy my day. Doing your best at your job instead of slacking strengthens your work ethic. Do you think when I was working at Quick Trip a year and a half ago, that was a year and a half ago already, when I worked there for roughly 2 months, did I do that because I enjoyed the job? And so I slacked? No. I did it because first of all, I wanted to make a little extra cash. And I gave myself to my position. And I was somebody that was going to be reliable, not slacking. And I did my best because it challenged my work ethic. So if there's no benefit whatsoever in making your life difficult, say doing something silly like eating undercooked rice just to struggle to eat it, then you don't do it. Push yourself only when it matters, not to suffer for the sake of suffering. That's stupidity. So how do you start taking the path of most resistance? Taking that path comes down to choosing the route that presents better opportunities for your growth. As a general rule, when presented with 2 or more choices, don't ask yourself which one is easier right now. Ask yourself which one will help you create a better life. We typically know the answer immediately, so the problem isn't how to discern which option is better. The problem is to resist the temptation to go with the easier choice. For example, the gorging on fast food. I'll have that double Big Mac and the king-size fries, please. Oh, yeah, apple pie and extra large milk chocolate shake. And you know what? Throw in a whaler on the side. Is that what they're called anymore? Whalers, or is that Burger King? Fish sandwich on the side. So I got something to nibble on when I'm done with my Big Mac. Gorging on fast food, sometimes that's all right. Maybe once every 2 years to remind yourself why you don't do it. It's like White Castle. Once every 2 years, you got to have a bag of those to remind yourself why you don't do it. Once every 10 years in my case. And I think you've all heard the story on that. When Rainey and I were first dating, White Castle had been outlawed in our home. I think I've had White Castle one time in 20 years. Because when Rainey and I were dating, and we were all buff and in great shape, and hey, come here, be naked with me, kind of thing when you're young and dating and all of that stuff. And that's what we did. And we smoked, both of us, and we would go out every now and then. Let's go get a bag of White Castles, a bag of sliders. So we went and would get a bag of sliders. And one day we're sitting in my office, much like this. I was at the big desk, and Rainey was at the other end of my desk, just a couple feet away on her laptop. And I was on my big system, and we were working away. And we'd had a bag of White Castles the night before. And of course, being a guy, and by this point, I was already comfortable with Rainey because I farted. And I knew it was coming. And I just, I thought it was just going to eke out a little, the little tadpole thing. And I kind of leaned over and it was kind of wink. And I'm typing away, and that little wink produced a toxic cloud that permeated my office for a couple of hours. But there's Rainey, beautiful young Rainey, sitting there, and I was younger too. I wasn't always 64. She's sitting there, and all of a sudden she goes, "Oh my God." And she goes, "Oh," like this. And I go, "What?" And she runs for the side door of the office, was the back patio. She throws the door open, she sticks her head out, and she goes, "Ugh, ugh." And I said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Is that because I farted?" She goes, "That was awful, yes." And I said, "Really?" I said, "My fart made you almost throw up?" "Yes." And I said, "I am the king. I am the master." She didn't think it was funny. But we were young and in love, so it didn't matter. The temporary discomfort was something that she put up with to have me in the long run. I'll bet she's rethinking that now. But anyway, that was 20 years ago. But that's the stuff, When you gorge on fast food was where that came from. Sorry. Or if you sit all day in front of your computer playing video games. Or sit in front of your computer playing video games, eating fast food all day. That is the greatest choice when compared to going on a run, or riding your bike, or reading, or going on a hike. That's not an all-day thing. I would do the 12-mile circuit. Didn't take much more than a half hour of my day from start to finish. I did it. But to begin taking the path of most resistance means to not only hear your inner voice, it means to actually listen to it and recognize this moment as an opportunity to do better. So easy versus hard. It's always your decision. When you're at the gym, if you go to the gym, or you're working out, you're performing push-ups, the weak voice is going to tell you to stop right when things get hard. If you want to grow, this is your moment to choose the painful alternative. Squeezing as many reps as you can. Resistance. Your boss is looking for a volunteer who'll present in front of a potential big client. Those who want to live as easy life will do their best not to get picked. Oh, I'm going to hide behind the person in front of me. This is your opportunity to grab the challenge task. Use it to get yourself ahead. You're trying to get up early, but that comfortable bed is so nice. You don't want to start the day so quickly. I did that this morning. I overslept this morning. My alarm goes off on my phone. Rainey was already up, but my alarm goes off on my phone, and I fell back to sleep. I turned it off. And she's getting ready to walk out the door, and she says, "Are you up?" And because I got to get the kids ready for school. So I ran late. That bed felt so comfortable. You're a shy, insecure person. You're uncomfortable around the opposite sex. You'd love to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it'd be so easy to avoid their presence and hope that one day somehow one would just find you attractive and approach you themselves. You don't have to do the hard work. The only solution to solve this problem is to face your fears. You talk and surround yourself with the opposite sex, the people that you want to be around, to attract that whenever you can. You think it'd be cool to write a book, or to paint, or to produce music, or be otherwise involved in the arts. But to be creative means to expose yourself to potential criticism. Many people never express themselves because they want to be comfortable. If you want to be different, take the hard path and start creating your art and sharing it with other people. I'm my own worst critic when it comes to my art and my writing. So there's that. If you need more ideas on this stuff, I'm sure you can think up a lot of different scenarios. So let's bring this all back to the beginning so we can end it. The path of most resistance. That's where you get your extreme growth. Expanding your comfort zone is when you realize that you have to leave it. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And so adventure is the things that we define as those things that take us out of the ordinary, that bring us to places we don't normally go. Hey, Susie Q. Hey, Rapid Dog. Welcome. You guys are an hour and a half late. Just letting you know. By the way, that cabinet, and we talked about this the other day, if I turn this and you look over at that cabinet right there, that's my Egyptian cabinet, full of all kinds of little artifacts and things that I picked up while I was in Egypt. I wouldn't have those things if I hadn't stretched my experiences. So this is all about, I'll just state it again, just state the obvious, that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Step out of your comfort zone. Do things that you're not normally accustomed to doing. Expand your horizons so you can get ahead. Live that life of adventure that is really the everyday stuff. But get out of the rut and expand. So that's all I got on that, folks, tonight. I hope that you enjoyed that and it provokes a little thought about where you're going to go from here. Why don't we take, it's 10:28 my time, 11:28 out east. If you want to stick around, I'm going to take a mini, very small 1 to 2 minute break here, and we'll come back and we'll do a brief post-show, The Captain's Cabin. Well, in reality, that's a misnomer anymore, because it's all the post-show and it's all the main show. So if we just take a little break and come back and go, hey, it's different now, we're in the post-show, we can do that if we want, but it's the same show. So everybody, sit still, don't go away. This is going to be your opportunity to call in, talk about your adventure story, talk about how you break the ruts. I'm going to right now paste the call-in line into the chat room. And all of those of you over in Instagram, I am going to paste the same link over here. If you're over on Instagram and you want to call the show, come on in. Love to talk to you. Don't be afeard now, as Kenny Ballas would say. Don't you be afeard. Okay, let's cut out for just a little tiny break. And I'm going to just sit right here. I'm just going to wet my whistle and sit back and play a couple of things. So all of you, here's the end of the radio portion of the show, and we'll come back with the Captain's Cabin. If you got to go, live long and prosper. See you right back here.
The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company, or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hi, my dad. So he can take me to Disneyland.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave. Well, welcome back, folks. This is it. This is the captain's cabin, the highly vaunted, much often spoken of captain's cabin, and thusly named by all of you, my listeners, a couple of years ago. And so, welcome. This is our after show. This was our official after show after we went off air for the night on our weekly show, our daily show. And so here we are. This is when you can call in. You can take that link. I put it to I'll do it again. It's not too far back, but I'll give you that link again. Right there in the chat room if you want to call in, if you got anything you want to talk about that has to do with pushing the limits of your comfort zone. Has to do with living a life of adventure. That seeking things and looking for the adventure. Wait. Hold on. I see him. I see floor tile, or is that ceiling tile? That is a Lord Emperor Fieldy.
It's me.
How you doing, Field Guy?
Pretty good. I got to switch my camera around.
All right.
Oh,
do you need me to take you down for a bit? Oh, you're right there.
No, I can do it like that. No, because it's the last thing I was doing. I was showing something reverse angle. That's what it was. Because I have to do it on my phone now because my laptop thing is broken.
Oh, doesn't that figure?
Well, I sent it off to get fixed. It got fixed. It just won't. The piece that goes into the. Well, no. My co-host fixed it. It's just that for whatever reason, it won't go in the. Yeah, I'm gonna say this, folks. It won't go in the hole properly.
It won't go in the hole. Got it. So while you're doing that, I'm just gonna see. Susie Q loved Uncle Dave. That's for sure. What do some of you have to say? I'm just gonna go backwards a little bit here, and I'm scared, says Elderberry. Don't be afeard. Don't be afeard now.
Go chefs.
And
I actually have an Uncle Dave. Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Well, through
Carly
marriage,
Sagan
I do.
says Field Guy. That was about 6 minutes ago. So
I know Miss Carly's got to check her messages.
Right on. Check your messages, Miss Carly.
That's right.
Reptiles go into brumation during winter. I feel that, said Scott Allen. Brumation, another form of hibernation, something like that. So, where the art studio? That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see, says Elderberry. This is it. You're in it, brother. This is the art studio. Let's see. I need a bear. Oh, a beer. It's my glasses. That's Field Guy.
I need a bear, yes.
I'm just going backwards, seeing Scotty Roberts. Great show tonight. Thank you, Kalina. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Elderberry's talking about elves.
Roger was looking at my butt again. I told him not to, but he keeps doing it.
Well, Roger.
I think he wants to make Miss Carly jealous.
I think that would probably do it, too. I think Carly's already jealous of you. How could she not be?
I don't have anything to offer except myself. That's about it.
And Kalina's out. Let's see. I'm just looking. Think Simply is here. Dude, I knew this was going to farts. That story. You knew that's where that was going with the bag of sliders, huh? Yep. That's exactly what happened. Of course, she's gotten me back many times over the years. Not to say that my sweet, lovely wife ever would do something as profane as and base and common as slipping a little gas. Oh, no. Jeremy Hashim, we had to be the main characters. Okay, I remember that one. I saw that one. I'm just scrolling back through your comments, everybody, just to see what I may have missed, if anything. What else we got? Blah, blah, blah. Unleash Jeremy Hansen. I love lakes. Take the boat to the middle and jump in. You know, I could do it, Jeremy. I could still do that. I don't like swimming in water where I can't see the bottom. I don't like murky water. It's like, no, it's not my thing. Doesn't mean I won't do it or can't do it. It means I don't usually want to do it. So, would you give me a clear, crystal clear ocean? My grandfather, when he lived down on the little island in the Honduras, down in the Caribbean, talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, that was my grandfather. White sand beach, and all the breakers of the ocean broke way out on the reef. It was about half a mile out from the shore. It was the coral reef. And there was a big break in it there where the boats would come into the harbor, or the little port there for the inn that was there. And there were two little bump of an island, the keys that grew off of the reef. So it looked like white sand keys, a little thing with the palm trees on it. And we'd swim out there every day from my grandfather's beach. But inside the reef there was like swimming in a museum quality saltwater tank. And it was glorious. And the light, it was so light. It was like there was nothing impeding the light from hitting you under the water. We dived down. We usually went down about 12 feet or so, thereabouts. But we'd snorkel in there, and we'd dive way down and chase fish and stuff. Colorful fish everywhere, and gorgeous plant life under the water there. And the white sand. It was unbelievable. The turquoise water. Amazing. I'll swim in that any day. So, JP was here. I didn't even see him. There's a part of your brain that actually develops more when you step out of your comfort zone, he says. Don't do the difficult things and you're successful. Yeah. I agree with that, brother. I agree with that. Easy times don't make us who we are, says Jeremy Hansen. being forged in fire does. There was an old song when I was in the church. The refiner's fire has now become my sole desire. Purged and cleansed and purified. So, Sarah, I don't know if Sarah's still here. I remember back before there was internet. Oh, you're that old, huh, Sarah? Back before internet. I do too. I grew up in non-internet world. So.
Inter what now?
Inter what? Inter what world?
Back in my day, we didn't have this so-called fangled internet. I remember we had to make our calls like this. Hello, what you want?
Yep. On the idiot cord, that's stretched out for 30 feet. The little twirly cord. So. We used to do stupid stuff like taking the long twirly cord. That was mobile phones of the day. You put the phone in the crook of your neck, you're doing stuff, and it's got the big long stretched out to 30 feet, so you could walk halfway across the house. And but it was still plugged in. As kids, we used to use that. And the phone hung on a little section of the wall. The stairway down to the boys' bedroom, my brother and I, was right here. And then there was the wall with about a wall like that thick, and then the dining room. And the phone hung on that wall right there. So when my brother was coming up the steps, I'd take that phone and go all the way out to the living room, stretch it as far as I could, and try to hit him with it. Shang! But it wasn't as bad as a rubber band. It wasn't quite that powerful a snapback. So
you got to pull that sucker back all the way and aim it.
At least you didn't have to climb a pole to use a party lines at CDQ. Great Acres is the place to be. Fun living is a life for me.
Yeah, that was
Land
just on.
Stretching out so far and wide. Beats Manhattan, give me that countryside. Don't ask me how I remember that off the top of my head. I have not rehearsed that song in 50 years.
That was on about an hour and a half ago.
I haven't seen that show since 1970.
It comes on MeTV every night at, I think, 8:30. Yeah, right before Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, Hogan's Heroes I love, though. I love that show.
Comes on, if you got MeTV. I don't know if you have it up there by you, but...
Black Bart. Captain Bartholomew Roberts. Pirate code and such, says Elderberry. Arr. Oh, here's the professor. Look at that.
3-hour monologue.
There's 5 professors. No, there's only 3. There are 4 lights.
I'm telling
funny
you.
You say, well,
I'm having
funny you say that.
Go ahead, Lord.
I love my MeTV.
Oh, no, I was just saying, funny you said, professor must be doing his live stream backwards.
Hey, that's kind of nice. The backdrop there. Is that your new studio?
Oh, that's all him.
Yeah, that's all him.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do, I'm playing with OBS. And when I was getting all of my gear together, I said, shit, I've got 3 more cameras.
Nice.
So I said, well, I've got to try this and see if it works. Are you guys hearing
I want you to know something. You see what you've done? You've done this.
You've done echo.
There is an echo.
I hear one, but it's best to use when you do 3 cameras like that, Professor, because I go on streams where some people will do that for like coins and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's always best to plug in earphones or headphones to reduce the echo on, because the more...
When I realized I was going on, I said, I got to do my Bluetooth. But every time I put in Bluetooth, everything's got to reset, and it becomes a serious pain in the butt. So
this is something I want to do. I want to go to 3 cameras. But I also want to go to just audio. Again, that'd be kind of nice. And only specials for doing, I'm just sounding out some things. Go audio and... special show once a week, maybe for subscribers and video. but installing more than one camera. You got the camera up there, the camera up there, the camera here. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Well, I'm also doing it because I'm going to start doing some more guitar work, and getting different angles of playing is one of the things I want to do. And what's interesting is the one in the middle is a 4K, and the two on the outside are 1080p's, and they're both
11 cameras,
Logitech's, and then the 4K is a Nexago. So what I've been doing, I redid the entire studio, and I said, okay, I've got all this gear. I need to start using this shit because I've got plenty of shit to do, plenty of shit to make, and shows and videos and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then I thought, if the system allows me to do multiple cameras, and record that, which I'm going to start doing right now, actually, in OBS. I found, I've resisted OBS. We used it back 5 years ago when we were doing the shows originally for Odyssey. Remember that?
Yep. I remember.
And OBS,
by the way, Elderberry says, or Scott Allen says, I follow a Twitch cooking comedy stream that has 11 cameras, one in the fridge.
You can do that with OBS.
Although I don't says, like OBS. I thought my eyes was having a stroke or something.
Hey, Scott Allen follows me on Twitch. That tells you what he's got mental. Nah, he's all good.
Well, think simply always. If we had Uncle Dave here, we'd be talking some some serious pirate. And be like, well, the captain told me to climb the mizzen mast. I said, how can I climb it if it's mizzen? But ching.
I'm not sure that made any sense whatsoever, but
we used to at the festival we used to do pirate entendres, walking around, and it's like, oh, cabin boy, me lower decks needs swabbing. And, things like that. And, all of that stuff. So, them was the day.
The mizzen mast, and you're saying that it was missing.
Mizzen.
You tracking now, Prof?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, Lordy,
did you get that one?
On the Bluetooth thing?
You
still there, Lord?
What's that, Professor?
You were talking about the Bluetooth
Lord,
headphone
Professor,
thing?
Captain.
Oh, well, I was talking about, OBS.
Yeah.
I never could get around OBS. I tried it once. I'm just like, but I'm not really a tech person. But yeah, you can run 12 cameras on the you probably run more on the OBS. The only thing is the more cameras you run on it, from what my brother told me, the more cameras you run on it, the more it's going to take up the data. It's going to take up the background.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to echo more.
Yeah, the thing about video feeds, video feeds are bandwidth bandits. I mean, they just suck it all down.
Yep.
But you'd mentioned Bluetooth. This headband I'm wearing is a Bluetooth headset.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
As amazing as this is,
well,
I feel the need to change the topic.
Well, I wanted to share this with you because I've been doing Bluetooth.
Let's see what the professor has to say about drones over New Jersey.
I got plenty to say about that.
Shoot them down.
But just to finish the Bluetooth thing, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I've been doing Bluetooth since it came out, and I've got 5 or 6 pairs. I've got over-ear, in-ear. I've 2 induction, which are the bone induction, which are the best. And then this is called a
bone
Dream
induction
Wrap.
is good.
And I'm not making any money off this, but I'm going to highly recommend it. Go to dreamwrap.com. And you can get 2 of these things for $30. And it is not only
the headset you're wearing?
What's that?
The headset you're wearing?
Yes.
Is that like a hat or is that the headset?
No, it's a headband.
It's a big old headband. Oh, okay.
Right.
It's got the Bluetooth built into it.
So the Bluetooth control is this thing here. But what it has, instead of having the buds in your ears or around your ears or over on the induction, there are 2 speakers on each side, and it's in the headband. So it's in front of your
pretty
ear.
cool.
And it's, I tell you, I'm an audiophile. These are the best sounding Bluetooth headsets I've ever had. And it's cool because it's a headband and it's great. I didn't wear it all summer because it's hard to wear a headband when you're sweating. But I dug it out the other day. I said, oh, that's right. I got that Dream Wrap. Let me fire that thing up.
I'm going to have to look into getting a pair of those.
I highly, highly recommend it because they are, without a doubt, the most comfortable, the best sounding, and everybody that I've used it on my phone with says that my voice is clearer than any of my other headsets.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
You are coming pretty clear.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm coming through my
good.
mic here, but
Okay.
I didn't turn
There went
this
that
on,
theory.
Fieldy. That's what you mentioned, Bluetooth. I'm going, yeah, I'm going to do it. I put the headband on. I said, no, it's going to take too long to hook up. Fuck it. So anyway, that's the headband thing. Dreamwrap.com. I think there's 2 for $40 is what it is now. I got them a year ago,
dog.
and they were 2 for $30.
Yeah, lubber.
I swear to God,
Lubber,
it's
what
one
a
of the
word.
best things if you ever do Bluetooth, and you want to keep your ears warm, and you want to hear good shit. And what's really cool is that
frankly,
I put
coincidentally,
on
those
sonic
are all
frequencies.
things I want to do at the same time.
Well, I put on sonic
Man, you
frequencies
nailed
at
it.
night, and just fucking it's awesome. Have
Right
you
on.
guys noticed?
Outstanding.
Have you guys noticed any strange stuff in the sky recently? Have you guys seen anything? Heard
Yeah,
any
I've got
stuff
my
going on?
tinfoil hat over here. Even, it's all domestic.
Well, I think that's pretty clear based on the evidence that we have right now. But what's more interesting is what's the motive? What's the intent behind these?
Well, I mean, there could be several. One plausible theory that I've heard has been related to the basically you have a CBRN function of the drones. So CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. That is
doing any of the SIGNET to try to find anything that may be afoot that's nefarious.
right. Yeah. Given the fact that an unknown number of members of various extremist organizations have crossed the Dorian Gap and things like that. That it's been it is open source information that Al Qaeda and ISIS have basically trained Fedayeen and suicide bombers and things like that to and deployed something like 1,000 of them or whatever to try and hit targets. You have things like that. There was actually a CIA targeter that was talking about it on the Sean Ryan show. I guess today, yesterday, last week, whatever. Then another plausible thing with it is they're testing capabilities.
Yes.
There's a lot
That's
of
kind of what I thought.
there's a lot of mandates that have been put in place that, hey, we are going to be trying to shift towards these kinds of things. We are going to be incorporating more of these kinds of things. And if you're running intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance type operations, ISR stuff, and you're going to be doing it through drone, it makes sense to be running it around places that are heavily populated, highly,
now, whatever came of the drone that crashed yesterday?
I have no idea.
Anybody hear any more about that other than the original story and film that there's a drone that crashed?
I didn't realize any of them crashed.
There was one that crashed on the highway. I saw film clips of it. The police
Probably
were
crashed
all
in the
around it and
cornfields.
stuff like that, but I haven't heard a thing since then. It was on a
Somebody
was shooting film of it from the bridge, from the overpass.
Yeah. Somebody took one down, but it seems to me, the whole idea of it there being some kind of biological or chemical or some kind of kinetic weapon or device that they're looking for. The pattern that doesn't fit the pattern, in my opinion, because
what pattern?
They're doing it. The first pattern is it's always from about 4 to 11 every night.
Whose pattern?
They disappear.
You're talking about
they shut down operations by around 11 every night. So
that doesn't mean anything.
If you're looking for something, number one, I mean, you would think that looking at night with all of the telemetry and the spectrometry and everything, that would be the best thing to do. And you wouldn't put FAA regulation lights on your drone if you're trying to be secret about it.
That's it.
And all of the pictures that I've seen,
clearly
on your drone.
All of the images except for the pulsating orbs that I've seen are all fixed wing, number one. Number two, if these guys were actually going after trying to find something, why is it only, first of all, during those times from about 4 to 11 p.m., why isn't there any military engagement with them? Why is it that people with drones that have flown up to them seem to be knocked out with their telemetry?
Jamming.
Why helicopters apparently can't see them when they go up and try to check them out? There's a whole bunch of weird. There's a whole bunch of weird anomalies about the evidence that's being reported anecdotally, as well as with the audio and the video.
JP, Sarah's asking you a question. What's the range of a drone like that to be away from the controller?
Depends on what kind of drone.
Well, there you go, Sarah.
Well, no, I mean, it really does.
I don't know anything.
It really does. It depends on what you're talking with the drone. Like, so we have unmanned aerial systems like the RQ-4 Global Hawk, which has, thousands of miles of range. It is extremely high altitude. And
it's not going to operate at a residential 500 to 1,000 foot range.
Hold on, I'm not done. All right.
He knows I'm right. See,
and shut your holster. All right, and can loiter for hours over target area. Then coming down, you have several hours of duration over a target for various other kinds of UAS platforms. When you're looking at things that are electrically powered, you're going to have a much shorter range.
And duration.
Well, yes, and duration. Because you're going to end up trading range for duration, just like you would in a conventional aircraft.
Yeah.
So, you look at anything from, I've got 20 minutes of flight time in general from like your store-bought crap, bought at Best Buy or whatever, to hours on end on larger systems, that are operating extremely high altitudes, extremely long range, and all of that stuff can be controlled. Like guys who are controlling the Reaper drones, like you hear the drone took out a terrorist or whatever with the Hellfire missile, this, that, or the other thing. Those guys are remote piloting those aircraft from back in the States.
Oh yeah, I mean, you watch any of the movies, especially the G.I. Joe series. Excellent, highly recommend. Just for the special effects, let alone the badassery that goes on in there. The Expendables, any of the Jason Statham movies, they're all showing the kind of tech that is along these lines. Now, so let me go back to my problems with the data. There's so many things that are incongruent with what we would expect or think based on any of the speculation that's going on. It's clear from the government or officialdom's perspective, this is a fucking psyop. Okay, they know that you can't tell it. They can't tell us they don't know what it is because nobody believes them. Their credibility, like everything else,
what
over
Trump
the last
had
several
to
years
say
has been
just
shot
today.
to shit.
Trump said just today, he says, I know what it is. And he says, everybody knows what it is and where it's from. He said, just can't talk about it yet because he's not in a position where he can.
I have two favorite postulates. One is that this is actually what we're seeing is essentially drone wars in the procurement side. So what I mean by that is that it's the end of the year. They know Trump's coming in. There's all these contractors that have built all these different types of drones, do all kinds of different things, specialized for this and that. And the best way to demo these things is to take them out and let them fly about, demonstrate their capability. You can, if you do it in the desert over water,
let hillbillies shoot them down.
It doesn't. You got to test the capabilities, and a part of that is also they're co-opting. Never let a good opportunity go to waste. They're co-opting it, saying, okay, we're going to also create a bit of a psyop, get people to think about what the hell is this, and not give anybody any answers. Let everybody speculate. Let everybody poke around, try to figure it out, and then let it die out, so that the next time it comes up, the people won't be as they'll be better conditioned. So that's
I don't know how well that works.
I want to push this topic aside for a second because we're already past the time that I'm supposed to be off of here, and I promised I'd be off.
What, you got somewhere else to go?
I want to ask you guys one question.
Yes, we have a wife and family.
What do you think about the Biden administration selling off the materials for the wall?
I think that not only is that, which is a small piece of a bigger puzzle that's going on, but the 6,000 some odd pardons and commutations or whatever the hell they are, it's the most in history. And it's clear that you don't do these things unless you have some presumed guilt. Right. So there's already that presumption. I think there's a good possibility, and this is way out on the end of the twig of speculation. I'm hanging by a leaf. And I speculate this. The continued unturning and revealing and unveiling of information about what actually happened over the last 5 years since COVID through now is going to come out.
Oh, and once they have immunity,
hold on. It's going to come out in such a profound way that people will look at it and go, we could have said, yeah, you got away with it and let it go, and we're moving on to fix everything and rebuild the future. But this was clear, intended, nefarious, bad shit.
Yes.
And now it is so obvious that we're not looking for retribution. It's accountability. It's responsibility. What you folks did nearly ended the fucking United States, let alone the planet. And it was clearly heading in that direction. But other forces afoot fixed all that, and we are now on a corrected ship moving forward. But if there's enough information that comes out that clearly reveals criminal law-breaking with intent, January 6th committee, people that the election, 2020 election is going to be shown to be a complete fucking fraud. Yeah. We're going to be, what's going to happen is at least from COVID through all of the shit since then, up till now, is going to be revealed as a nasty, manipulated bullshit set of hoaxes and shit that was pulled on the people. And the people I saw it 2 years ago. I said, we're about to see the rise of the pissed off peeps, because the people have had enough of being pushed and bullied and canceled and silenced and, just completely lives ruined because of an ideology that was based on things that were not true. And it was done for the entire reason of control. So if that even comes close, all of these pardons, all of this stuff that Biden has done, in fact, all of the executive orders and everything done during his administration could be nullified.
Yes.
Could it?
Might be.
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be
Absolutely
an interesting scenario.
If the scenario I just laid out comes to pass, information so obvious that criminal activity laws were broken, not only laws, but there was ethical and moral and all kinds of other shit that people are going to look at it and go, you people were some real fucking assholes. And you did it on purpose. And look what happened to the people, to the lives, to the entire planet, the economy, everything else. You guys fucked it up so bad that if it's blatant that what you did, which we all know and feel, is just lay it out so that everybody sees the same thing. When that comes out, all of their credibility is gone.
Yep.
You have zero. You're authentically ignorant, stupid, and you damn near crashed the system. You no longer can be, you don't get the keys. You don't even get shotgun. You're in the trunk.
Well,
your opinion on anything is now invalid.
Well, and that's actually, I can actually see something like that happen. Maybe some of that not necessarily through, legal channels or congressional channels, if you will. But so think of this: if Hunter's already been pardoned and all that, so if Congress drug him back in, he could sit there and tell them everything he did between 2014 and today. He's
been pardoned.
He's immune
like a bird.
Right. Now,
but what if that pardon, Jason, what if that pardon is illegitimate?
Might be.
That's my point.
That's the thing.
If it comes out that the 2020 election was totally a fraud and intentionally done, so now there's a whole bunch of evidence that that's what's going on. If that comes out, it comes out so definitive that you can't say that this didn't happen, you on purpose did nefarious, illegal shit.
Right.
That is enough for not only for legislation and investigations and everything else, and their whole all of the shit they did to Trump is now going to come back to them.
Right, I get that,
and it's not for revenge. It's to rehabilitate. It's to figure out what the fuck happened and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right, I get that. What I'm getting at, though, is if there isn't any real legal recourse that can be taken, right? If you start digging through the things and it's like, oh shit, we have nothing in our processes that covers this because it happened under this and that, with the president, etc. Like the where you will see very big impacts, I could see happening would be in the voter booth. So the people, the kinds of people, the people in the parties and the groups and the associations, the lobbyists even, that's not through the voting booth, but you could see all of that stuff.
Jason,
basically, the people being like, screw you, pal, we're not voting for, and they lose any sort of credibility, any sort of clout they have, and people just turn from them en masse.
Yes, but my point is that the bitch slap, the vibe that as is still echoing around the planet from what just happened, and the election was just the catalyst. It wasn't an election; it was a selection.
Right.
It was we don't want whatever that was anymore. We want.
You even saw that coming in other countries before our election started.
So what I think has happened is there's been so much intellectual, ideological damage to those that have been pushing this shit for the last 20 plus years, the last 10 hard, that the credibility for any expression of any components of that ideology is null and void.
Right.
It is no longer has any credibility. It has in fact, it has the exact opposite. It is the example of no.
Right.
And that, what we're seeing, and I think it's going to get maybe a little bit worse before it gets better, but right now the mental meltdown of the mental midgets that have been perpetuating this horse shit across humanity are all melting everywhere. They're they don't know what to do. They can't, there's no concept of introspection, self-examination. It's all outward. Somebody else fucked up here, did that. It was a combo of this, that, and whatever else. No, it was a soup of idiocy and ignorance that you adopted and pushed with arrogance. Yeah. And until you realize that, you're not going to be able to assimilate into the future. Because if you bring along any of that bullshit that we just gave a resounding fuck you, no thank you to, then you will be pushed to the side. You will be ignored. You will not be able to play with the rest of the children. Because we know what happens when that ideology, that perspective gets out in the wild. You were a part of it. In fact, apparently you're still stuck in it. The rest of us have left it behind.
And I know people that are still in tears because that ideology lost the election. So I hate to say it, we got to wrap it here. This is a great conversation for maybe 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So we'd have 2 hours to build on it.
Well, you always tell me
8 minutes before the end of the show is
you always say that we have
deconstructive.
You always say that the good stuff's at the end, and you say, well, we should do a show on it, and you never call. Yeah, my heart is,
you know where I am.
I'm waiting for a text from Scotty. Hey, come on the show tonight. Let's talk shit. And I'm like, why isn't he calling me?
Yeah, you know where to find me.
Yeah, no, it's you know where to find me.
You're here whether I invite you or not. So just come in earlier.
Somebody's got to come in and, spice the place up.
Shake things up, yeah. So I challenge you to come in an hour earlier.
Okay.
So
I'll try that next time.
All right, Professor, thank you for being here tonight. You, all three of you, and, all multiple of you if you go into the pattern as it gets further and further back.
Professor cloned himself.
Did you have a sense that?
Yes.
Did you have a sense that it was?
Fieldy?
Did you have a sense that it was more of me, or was it just multiples of me?
It was too much of you at one time.
Oh no, I didn't want to hear that. I just got it set up and feel good about it.
This is the fly on the wall view of Professor Bauer. I'm going to look at you with all 16 of my eyes.
Calm down.
Help me.
All right. Professor, you get out of here. I will see you next time. Let's come in earlier and we'll talk more.
Oh, I'll come in bright and early, and I'll lay it in.
He'll call in during the show. So, all right. See you, Professor. Field guy.
Yes.
Field guy. Oh, there you are. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Anytime.
Get much of you there other than your fleur-de-lis. Your fancy little fleur-de-lis.
Well, once Professor pops in, it's a three-hour monologue.
Huh?
So I said, once Professor comes in, it's a 3-hour monologue, and we don't get much in. So we let him speak.
You gotta put your face up and talk.
Yeah, I can scare everybody away doing that, but
thank you, Roger Rabbit, for that. That makes a lot of sense. Roger said, never tell a man to come earlier.
I think that's secret code. What's Roger trying to tell us? I wonder. Anyway, I'll let you go, Mr. Scotty.
Billy, you have a good night, brother.
Good night.
See you next time.
You too.
Later, Phil. Guy.
Right. JP, good to see you, brother.
Always a pleasure.
Always. And we will have to try to do this again on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely.
So you may have missed it at the very beginning. And for everybody who is here now, who wasn't here at the beginning, This show is we are going to go into a dramatic rebranding of this show. That's all I will say for now.
So, Scotty,
yes.
Let me understand this correctly. What you're effectively going to be doing is fundamentally changing the show.
Fundamentally changing the show.
Changing the show.
Fundamental. It's not a question of whether we could do it. It's whether we should do it. So that's who I was picking up in there. So
I can't do a good Barack. I don't.
I was thinking
fundamentally. We're going to fundamentally change.
That Barack was so good. I thought it was Jeff Goldblum.
I see what you're doing there. You're doing right. Yeah.
There's a pile of shit.
That's one big pile of shit.
So, why? Thank you, Roger Rabbit. He said, "Thanks for the show tonight, Scotty. Have a good night, everyone, and you too." And JP, I'm going to let you go. We will talk again another time soon.
Sounds good.
All right, brother. See you. Everybody else, thank you for being here. Means a lot to me that you showed up. Means a lot to me that I showed up. I hope it meant a lot to you that I showed up. So, Sarah, Yusuf over there, we didn't get to see you in channel tonight or in the show tonight calling in, but next time we'll get you in here. And everybody else, I appreciate the fact that you're here. And we're going to end this now and just get on with whatever else you're going to do tonight. So everybody else, thank you for being here. And scram. Live long and prosper.